Today's topic will be tuning the drums. Okay, that's a big mystery. And before I do that, please subscribe to my channel or go to my Facebook page, Steve GADD Drum Lessons, or to Instagram. So everybody wants to know how to do that, as it is something you can learn and you can read in a manual. But there is no manual for tuning the drums. Tuning the drums is all about your ears and your musicality. There are so many things involved in tuning the drums, like what kind of drum do you have, or what heads are on the drum. And the most important thing is your own ability to make sound. 60% of the drum set is projecting by the person who plays the drums. So it's about your technical skills and how you hit the drums. So the drum set I have here, you see, is my rebuild of the famous Steve GADD 70s drum set. These are fiberglass, not wood fiberglass pearl, but fiberglass pearl concert toms, who are customized by myself for double-headed toms. So in general, these are concert toms. A Yamaha recording custom of 88, a 10x8, and it's an Evans hydraulic, because Steve GADD uses the hydraulics a lot, and the original Yamaha resonant, you know? That's the Steve GADD way. He learned me that on the MI video. There's a question how you tune drums. So what you do is you have two heads. That's the most difficult thing. So you have to get the sweet spot tone of the two heads of your drums. Then you have the most deep sound and the resonant sound. So this head is a very important head, you know? The head you don't beat on. That's actually the most important head. So there are a couple of ways. There is one way that a drum without heads has a tone. So I want this one. It's a little bit the same, but now it's not really fair because I tune this one in that tone, you know. So I think this one is high, the resonant. So my thinking is that my front toms, the 10 and the 12, this one is high and that one is lower. And for my floor toms, I want to have a deep sound. Then they are actually almost the same. So this head is a little bit lower than this one, but it's still a little bit higher than the beat head, you know, than this head, the front head. So here I want a little bit the sound of boing, boing. So it goes higher. And here I want boing, boing. So that's in general. For this sound, this is a very closed mic, dry sound. There's another rule that's very important. Do small things with your key. I don't know the exact, but don't do like this, you know, that's way too much. Turn it a little bit, and at the end it's so close, then you really have to do it like very small, you know. It's so sensitive. So what's also very interesting is watch a piano tuner. Did you ever saw a piano tuner at work? He's really with very small switches. This is actually the same. So what Mr. GADD does is that he tuned this head as high as possible. So why? Because the head is then really glued to his bearing edge, you know. It glues to the bearing edge, and that is really good, especially if you have new heads. For me, the most terrible thing is new heads. I love old heads, so I'm always, especially with ambassadors on snares. When I see an old ambassador somebody throw away, I pick it up because, I love that, man. The older a head is, the lighter it is, the thinner it is, I have to say. And man, I love that. And it's a little bit an ambassador, between a diplomat and ambassador. So changing heads is for me something I rarely does. On toms, man, never. The older it gets, the better. I want original hydraulics of the 80s. I would love that. They say that they are different than the hydraulics they make now at Evans. So, you have really a timbale. Just tuned this drum set the way I like it. So, I don't mess with that one. Because that was a lot of work. Okay, this is very strange, you know. The first prototype of a 10-inch, man. It's history. 10 by 6.5. So it's a concert tom customized to a double-headed tom. You see, still, and the problem is there are no locks for it. So these are snare drum locks. It's really wow. And here are the original holes in it, you know. So I had to drill new holes. Okay, I'll put the 10-inch of the recording custom I just sold. So we have that timbale sound now. And now I want to search for the sweet spot. That is so important. So I tune it. You know that you can tune it cross. You can do whatever you want. I'm not so crosser. I just, because I do very small movements with my tuning key. With the tuning key, yeah, man. So we go down. And there's suddenly a point where I think, man, this is really the sweet spot of this tom. So once again, this is just one way of tuning the drums. There is no secret, you know. You have to do it actually by ear. You know the timpani players, you know, in the classical orchestra, they do it during a concert. They put their ear on it and they do it by ear, man. So it's all... Now there's more sound coming into the tom. You hear it. The tone gets longer. But it's still a little... Ooh, now we're getting there. Now now it's getting shorter. See? So we're getting lower and lower. And now I feel really an impact, you know. So that's nice, but for me the sound is a little bit too short. So now I go to the back, to the resonant side, and see if I can tune it a little bit higher or lower and what happens then. First we go higher. So now I go, we going here at the bottom, and we're with small twists. See what's happening. No, this is not nicer, you know. It's not really what I want. There's more tone. It's coming. Yeah, this is nice. It's very nice. So it's high. Maybe, you know, Steve Gadd's tuning was very high, but if you want to go to the wacko guys with the Yamaha, I don't like that sound so much. They had emperors on it, and they were really low, really muddy. But you see what when I do this, you know, and I do a bigger twist, you hear this difference. You hear the difference in sounds. It's so minimal, but so now we go for a lower sound. This one. And there's always other toms resonating also. That's the nice thing about drumming. And once again, this one is from the fiberglass. Wow, man, it has a beautiful tone. And most of the time, I tune with this one. This 13 is very hard to tune. I'm still not happy with that one. Whoa, do you see it? You hear it? It's the first time I feel some impact. I don't know if you hear it. It's also so difficult because I'm miking the drum set. I have very nice MD 421s here. But I have just one overhead mono. I hope you hear it a little bit. So the miking thing is also very important. The acoustic of the, man, I forgot that. The acoustic of the place where you're in. Man, it can be so different. Okay, now I'm lost. It's deep, but it's short, you know. Okay, this is a little bit the pitch I want to have, because you hear it when I play my thumbs. So I'm not really in thirds and fifths and that kind of fourths. I don't, but it's short. It's really death. It's my rebuild of the famous Steve Gadd 70s drum set. Fiberglass, not wood fiberglass pearl, but fiberglass pearl concert toms, who are customized by myself for double-headed toms. So in general, these are concert toms. It's almost the same stuff like Vistalite from Ludwig. That's a very loud drum, and this tom, it's a 6.5, 10-inch, 6.5 deep inch, and Steve Gadd uses that. The first one is the toms. You know, that's one way. You know that if you know how to tune toms, you know all the toms. Then there's the snare drum. So this is Ludwig Supraphonic. So the most important thing is how deep is your snare drum? What kinds of heads are on it? Is it a wood snare drum? What kind of wood? Is it a metal snare drum? What kind of metal? So there are so many things involved in tuning a drum. And you have the kick, you know. So that are 3 parts you have to tune. Okay. So the snare drum, on this snare drum, again, this is a little bit the Steve Gadd dry sound. A fiber skin, Remos fiber skin Diplomat. It's the thinnest fiber skin on the top, with that famous ring. and at the bottom a diplomat resonant. Okay, but the standard thing for a snare mostly is an ambassador Remo or a G1 of Evans and an ambassador resonant, you know. The snare drum, that's not so difficult with this one. It depends which snare drum you have. And I have here the Supraphonic. It's the most recorded snare drum ever, they say. And for me, a metal snare drum is actually a metal snare drum. Ooh. And a wooden snare drum is a wooden snare drum. But maybe it's true. Maybe it has some identity. The resonant head, I really do tight. It's a really tight resonant head. And that's always my struggle with snare drums. Because I want the resonant head so tight that it, you know, it's a very thin head. So it expands. And then after a week, it is a little bit expanded. So you have to tighten it again. And then the same thing. So at a couple of weeks, this one, you know, there's no difference between the head and this the same distance. So I'm now a little bit with the hoop. Sorry, that English thing. So the hoop is making the bottom head so tight that it's equal. You know, and suddenly the hoop is above the head, you know, because it stretches along with the head. So that makes it really difficult. So now I do it a little bit more loose. And so the depth is really shorter sound now. And yeah, this is the magical trick, because without this it sounds like this, you know. And actually it's the same trick. I'm always starting very tight and then make it loose, and now it's really loose because I want really a low. And as Steve Gadd told me, not him person, but is that the knob for the wires is really tight. And so it's very important how you put the wires on the snare, but that's an other video. But you have to check that because that's really important. And what's also really important is don't buy, if you want this dry sound, that big wire thing with 20 or something. The smallest one you can get. Okay, the bass drum is also really the dry sound. A pillow in it, it's of course very important. And actually Steve Gadd tuned the bass drum really high also. And actually he uses a lot of the 20-inch. And the front hand is for the studio not so important. Actually, maybe you can put it off. But if you want to have more rock kind of sound, there's a great video. There's a link down below of the tuner of the John Bonham set, you know. Then you see. But the funny thing about that video is that set is tuned way higher than people think. They think John Bonham is big, is low. But it's really jazzy tuned. That's really funny. But because he had such big drums, it sounds massive. But actually the tuning is very high. Hey, thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my channel, this amazing YouTube drum channel, Ruben van Roon drum channel, and get notified for the next lessons and leave comments. Please support me, and we see each other the next time with the next video. Thank you very much.